of what would be like a 462 or
actually it's a 280.
280.
280.
Okay, the back end's just swinging loose there.
There's no trailing wheels. There's
Mhm.
2 leading wheels, and there's eight drivers.
Mhm.
And so and a good person can look at the number and will tell you what the engine configuration is.
That's encoded in the number.
No, it's not
Oh,
encoded. It's
they would just know.
They are so into it that they will look
Mhm.
at that number and they'll know. They can see the engine in their mind.
Well, that's a big one. It's got 8 drive wheels.
Eight drive
all
wheels.
are they tied together in 2 groups, or are they
it's
all
a single group with a single drive shaft on each side. And the reason for the 8 drivers is because Western Maryland is mountainous, and they would used to tie 2 of the engines together to get over the mountain to carry coal. They were used to pull coal,
right?
And they needed them to get over the mountain to come down and get up. And actually,
they put all their weight on their drive wheels.
On their drive wheels.
That was
right.
it. Yeah.
And they were going at such a slow speed because they were not passenger train. You need more guide wheels when you're a passenger train.
When you're going faster.
When you're going faster. When you're going slower, the guide wheels aren't as important.
Right.
But the drive wheels are, because you need that traction to pull. And power to weight ratio or efficiency ratio is better actually in steam than it is in diesel.
It is. It is. And steam has another thing that's magic about it. There's a bunch of magic stuff about steam, and one of the things is that steam locomotives have maximum torque at 0 RPMs, at maximum torque at minimum RPMs. Well, that's the natural torque curve that you want to for overland transportation, and that's why cars are so inefficient, is because their torque curve is just exactly the opposite. You get maximum torque at maximum RPM, so you have to have a transmission, which is where all your power loss is in your transmission and stuff. So steam power is by the physics of it a better form of transportation to use. And the railroads all operated in the black until they went to diesel engines. And when they went to diesel engines, they all went into the red.
Yes.
And that's been the case.
People don't realize that.
Right.
And everybody thinks that steam engines are polluting, when in fact they are less polluting. What you see is more visible, but when they're operating, when the boilers are operating at efficiency to the speed of the engine, there's nothing being expelled.
Well, people are accustomed to the efficiency specs from the turn of the century.
Right.
And there's been a lot of improvement in steam power technology since that time. And now there's the monotube steam generator. You don't have to heat a huge big boiler like that anymore. You can heat actually all you need to do is heat the amount of water that you need to turn into steam. At that moment.
Well, to give you an idea of the profitability of steam, the last major railroad to run steam engine in this country, and these are the pictures you see there. They went around and captured, especially in the night running. And there's a famous picture of they're at a drive-in movie theater with the 2 steam locomotives going behind the screen. Was the Norfolk and Western Railroad, and which is now the Norfolk Southern. And they were the last ones to run steam, and they ran steam up until about 1957. And they were able to be so financially successful that when U.S. Air, which was always in deficit, which was stationed in Washington, D.C., that was their home base, they wanted to buy U.S. Airways, and they were prevented from it because they were a railroad, and buying an airline was going to cause great
monopoly.
But they were ready to. They were able to write a check. They said, "We will write you a check for your airline." No funding, no.
And they had continued to use steam.
And they continued to use steam, but then they finally converted over.
Every railroad in our country, after they converted to diesel, they went into the red.
Yeah.
And I think every railroad in our country, as long as they stayed steam, operated in the black.
Yeah. And
it looks like, being...
And they were able to support passenger trains and freight. Because passenger trains were always loss leaders. They never made money. but freight subsidized the passenger trains. But they had to get out of the passenger business because they needed to concentrate their profits coming out of freight.
But you probably are like me. You remember riding on trains. Do you remember riding on old passenger trains?
I didn't. We didn't ride on trains. We moved in Massachusetts. We had the the trolleys, and then we had Steamtown and Railroad USA. But I mean, we didn't have regular running railroads. I mean, we had them in like I was brought up in Southborough. We had a railroad there, and it was always freight. There was never any passengers. Now they have an Amtrak on that same track, and they've got a big station and whatnot. And they didn't have those when I was a kid at all.
It would be wonderful if Amtrak ran to Asheville. I'm so disappointed that Amtrak doesn't come to Asheville.
Well, Southern Railway used to run to Asheville. There was it ran from Asheville to Salisbury, and in fact I still have a timetable from Asheville to Salisbury, and it was designed to catch the Southern Crescent, which was running from New York to New Orleans. And so you could go from Asheville to Salisbury and then pick up the Southern Crescent to go to Atlanta or go to New Orleans.
Wow.
And it ran twice a day in each direction.
That's excellent.
And the line's still there. The line is still there.
That's a great schedule.
Yeah.
That's a great schedule. And they should have been moving some people through there too.
Well, they're talking about it again because North Carolina has its own railroad. They contract with Amtrak to supply the engine and everything. But once you get into, if you catch the Carolinian out of Washington, D.C., you will get as far as Rocky Mount. And then your cars, they tell you on the train the following 3 cars will not go south. They are going to go to Charlotte. And once you get to Rocky Mount, they unhook the train, put a new engine on, and then the people that board the train are actually volunteers who work for the North Carolina Railroad. And they come on, they're the conductors, they give information, they pass out, they're helpful, and they take care of your luggage and everything, and then they will take you to Charlotte, and there's 2 routes within, they go through Gastonia and go through Charlotte, that are actually part of the North Carolina Railroad system, and they are talking about the possibility of opening up a line to Asheville.
I wish they would.
I would love that.
And one of the thoughts was to make it a circular route that would go like from here through Greensboro, Winston-Salem, go around through Raleigh, Rocky Mount, Raleigh, come back through Charlotte, and then come back to Asheville, and have trains going in both directions. So it'd be like a circular route.
Well, as you know, we have a roundhouse here.
Yes.
And I don't know if it's still operational.
Doesn't look like it's operational at all. Because it's all boarded up and it looks like the tracks have been torn up, even but the structure itself is still sitting there.
See, I don't know. I don't know.
I always see cars parked down there, and that's about it. I don't see.
Yeah, but all of the tracks here are owned by Norfolk Southern.
But see, that would be perfect, having a roundhouse here and operating steam.
Yeah.
And which they could pull into the roundhouse and work on it there. You know what I mean?
It's like the Bryson City Dillsboro Railroad, the Smoky Mountain Railroad. They don't run steam right now, and they're not going to be running steam for a while because the engine's in total disarray. But if they were to add steam to that instead of the diesel that pulls it right now, they would double their income.
See, that's what I'm thinking. The excursion to Asheville and coming up the mountains and stuff like that, and running the steam and all, it would be, people would love it. It would just be, it would be another steam railroad probably turning a profit for a change.
Probably would. And I think people would take it if they could, get it to where you would go to a city center to a city center. That it would really work.
Well, I have one more thing to talk about that it relates to steam.
Right.
Now, see, we've just ignored anything that you would be interested in today. We got off on steam because he had those numbers on his head. But I have a friend who his name was Tom Hosick, and they had what they called the Gibbs Hosick Trust. Tom once had the front cover of what was it, like Popular Mechanics magazine or something like that. Tom designed the thing called the ellipticline steam engine, a rotary steam engine. But I was around during that time, and every engine he built cost him $1 million to build a prototype engine and stuff. And then our job was to tear it up and see why it tore up, so that we could make improvements and stuff like that. And the last stages were it was to be steam lubricated, and stuff like that. And I've seen an engine that was small enough that I could carry it in my arms, installed in a city bus. Okay, that would burn rubber, that would spin the tires on a city bus for a half a block and just leave trails of smoke come out of it. with a monotube steam generator and a steam generator like that. And I think that with the oil crisis the way it is and all, we should look at some of these things, because that thing could ran off like a kerosene blower in it, but you could just as well stop and pick up sticks along the side of the highway, and put in it. And so it was a means of transportation where you would never be stuck. I mean, I guess if you were out in the desert and there was nothing that would burn, you would get stuck. But as long as you could find anything that could burn, you could get where you're going in this thing. And whether it was burning coal or whether it was burning sticks from along the side of the...
Anything is combustible.
Right. And people in this area, a lot of people in this area know how efficient a wood stove is and stuff like that. And it's that same kind of efficiency put into driving your automobile. So you'd have the equivalent of a little wood stove up under the hood, and with a stainless steel coiled tube inside of it to heat up the water. And the water, just the amount of water is injected into that tube as is needed for the steam.
Right.
No more, no less. So if anything breaks and all, you don't have the big boiler explosions and stuff that are harmful. It's just psh, and it's over very quickly.
Yeah.
You just cut off the supply of water and there's no steam. And so it also you don't have to wait for the water to heat up like you did with a big boiler. That was and the other thing I wanted to bring up was that they took Stanley steamers out of the race industry. You probably know that they barred Stanley steamers because because steamers won every race. The steam cars, those old rickety old looking steam cars, won every race. And the internal combustion engines could not compete with them, and so they banned the steam cars.
I didn't know that.
So I mean, steam technology is something that with things going the way they are now and looking at burning renewable sources and things like that, steam is something that should be looked at. It can be very efficient.
Well, it's like nuclear power without the downside.
Yeah.
If something goes wrong, you're not going to have a desolate area for the next 3.5 million years. It's just going to be, we'll clean up the mess and, continue along our way.
Well, you can stop it. You know what you can do? You can stop it. You can stop at the burger joint.
Right.
You can eat your food, and you can throw your bag and your garbage into the stuff and use it to go on down the road.
That's right. Well, the Asheville Film Festival has the two guys in the Japanese fire truck.
Is that right?
Went all the way from Alaska to Argentina.
On what?
On anything they could find.
What did it run on? Was it steam or what?
No, it was an engine that was converted to run on. It would run on pig manure. It would run on fats from McDonald's. On anything they could find. And they never used petroleum-based product all the way from Alaska to Argentina. And two guys in a Japanese fire truck, and it's in the film festival.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so it's a good show to watch.
Right.
Well.
So there you go.
I think we've exhausted steam for today.
He's kind of a technical guy. I bet he enjoyed the steam conversation.
Yeah. Well, the other thing is, did you end up being somebody that kept footage of trains?
No, I was too young. The last I used to live in on the Statesville Highway just north of Charlotte, and that was the Norfolk and Southern route coming out of Charlotte going north. And the train ran behind my house about a half a mile away. And I still remember this day the steam whistle as it would be crossing the small road that was there. And the track is still there. And you never forget that sound. You never forget the sound.
What is it, two shorts, a long and a short?
Yeah, two longs, a short, and a long.
Okay, I got it backwards.
Yeah,
two longs, a short, and a long.
And that's a crossing.
Yeah, great crossing.
And so I remember that to this day. And if you hear a steam engine whistle, you never forget it. And if you play the chord right, if you're releasing the steam, every engineer would have their own way of doing that.
They could change the pitch with the.
You could tell who the engineer was by how they made the pitch.
That's right. They all had their own signature.
Yeah, they had the signature sound.
See, that's what I do miss about growing up. Like I grew up in Southborough, Mass, and we were pretty backwards. I mean, until really the last few years, they didn't even have retail stores. Okay, we always had a general store that had the gas station. There was your post office. It was the old ladies that ran it went in your backyard, picked the raspberries, blueberries, and whatnot, and then sold them to you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but I remember, you know, our trains used to go by while we were sleeping, so it was almost a comforting noise
Mm-hmm.
to hear it come by. You knew
Yeah.
exactly that was
Exactly.
5 in the morning or,
Yeah.
or
I
1 at night.
love living near a train track. You know,
It's great.
I've always
It's just a
Our
wonderful.
barber shop used to.
not that close, but
I like
Yeah.
no, I
Pretty
did
close.
like. Well, I didn't like the falling apart,
Yeah.
but the little
Yeah.
vibrating thing.
Well, even here in
beats the-
Nashville, when they, you know, if the wind is right, you know, and the bedroom window's open, I can hear the trains down by the river.
and every now and then when a steam excursion runs, and I'll be just driving around or something with the windows down, and in the distance I'll hear it, and it never ceases
always-
to.
boom, you
right,
just-
get excited anytime
Yeah,
you hear
you
that
just-
steam whistle. Sure enough.
So,
I run that.
yeah,
Well, thank you very
Okay.
much. I
Okay.
certainly enjoyed it.
yeah.
Well, did you have a happy birthday? Or?
I did. I had a happy birthday.
All right. And I'm gonna have to be leaving too, because I have to go. I
Okay,
have to go.
you're all abandoning me. Here I am.
Well,
You're
You're
lucky.
going to go do the Glow Lady show.
Yeah. Yep. Yes, I am.
What time? Oh, she goes on at 6. You got an hour to get set up.
She
today.
follows you.
That's
And
right.
So I got to go
That's right.
get my act together.
That's right. Well, good luck with that.
Okay. And thank you very much.
Okay.
It's been great.
Okay.
And the tea was wonderful.
If you see anybody out there, send them in here for tea.
Okay. We will
Thank
do
you.
that.
Oh, you could probably send the Glow Lady in here. She usually will run in for a cup
Okay.
of tea when she.
All right. Yeah. Well,
You
and
know.
she can talk about.
Tell
show.
her we've got sassafras and ginseng. She'll
Okay.
probably have some sassafras.
No problem. I'll do that. Okay.
And I'm
Let me go down.
gonna scratch up some of these cups off the table and make way for my proposed new guests. And I'm gonna take this time to run the credits once again because I think that they should be. So there, you have it. There we go. You do 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 do. That's right. That's a black screen. So we'll put a little of that up and count to about 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And maybe we'll come back with that. What's that? Now what? Oh, let's put out a few more teacups. A couple more teacups. Just some cup of tea. And experiment with us on a little live television. And hopefully you'll get the bug and do a little live television of your own. And this is a good way to get your feet wet and get a feel for it. Orientation is free to members and the public alike. And we also encourage members to drop through in on minute orientation from time to time, just to keep up with there are changes that go on and things like that, and sometimes so every few months it's always good to drop in on orientation and see what's going on now. We're kind of in a little bit of a membership drive. It's time it's a time for a lot of people to re-up memberships because their memberships have run out. We're more than a year old now, and a lot of people that joined up initially have let their membership lapse, and that's only normal. A lot of people probably, it sounded like a good idea, but you don't have time sometime to do it. But those of us who do it find that we have an awful lot of fun, and I'll tell you this, and this is really true. Now I'm letting you in on this is the real deal here. Okay, there's a lot of other stuff maybe that you're doing. And unless you're just having a darn good time, and you may be, and if you are, more power to you. Keep doing it. But there's a good chance that most of the things that you're doing are not as fun, as much fun as the fun we're having doing our silly TV shows. Oh, wait a minute. Look here. Oh, wait, let's see. Where's that? Oh. Let's see what this other camera, what's it set to. Oh, that's on that. Oh, did I do that already? I did that already, didn't I? Okay. You can just get rid of that stuff. Okay, see what this is. Yeah, okay, let's see. I was gonna, see, there's me better. See, that's better me. Now, what's this one? No, that's not good me, but this is good me. Okay. And, I mean, if I'm gonna sit here and do the solo show, well, I may as well be in the camera lens, right? Let me see. Oh, I have another idea. Oh, let's do this. We'll go with that. Okay, and let's see. And this and that. Now let's see what we get here. That's blue, but we don't want blue. We want black. Ta-da! How's that? There. Now, doesn't that look cool? Ain't that cool? All right. There we go. Now, well, if you saw the show last night of the graduating class from the Studio A certification, they did their show with a black background like this on it, and we had belly dancers, very good and well practiced and choreographed belly dancers that put on a wonderful show for us. One of the girls danced with a sword balanced on her head and various things. It was well, I hope you got to see it. That's all. It was a very pretty show, and it was very pretty on the black background. We liked that a lot. It was well done, and my students did an excellent, very artistic job of working with the dancers and presenting that television show. I thought they did a great job. And for graduation, I gave them all a graduation gift. I gave everybody a banana. So I gave them a banana for graduation. And so there you have it. And I don't know what I'm talking about now, do I? I'm talking about come down to URTV, check out orientation, because you can ask every question you've got there, and get the direct answer from the horse's mouth, from the staff right there at orientation. Will tell you what the deal is, and they will tell you what fees and all, which are for the most part fairly minor fees. And once you do that, once you come down, and then you may decide to become a member, which I want to encourage you to become a member and do a show. And then when you become a member, then you can take, come on in, please, and you can come in and take classes on.
Hello, Dr. Blackwell.
Hey there. I'm going the wrong way, but let me see what we do. We're gonna have to change that camera angle and make it a wider angle. Bum, 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 bum,
caffeine.
bum. Look at that. There are you. Okay, how about that?
How about that?
Good angle, right? That's a good shot. Hey, decent
so.
enough. Right. And we've got Bach in the background. It might be too much. Tell me if you think it is.
I hear Bach. I hear my voice. No, I think we can talk over Bach with.
You think it should come down a little bit?
Yeah, maybe a little bit. But I mean, we can talk.
I've been enjoying listening to it now,
Okay.
and I didn't, but now that I have a guest, someone else to listen to, I'm going to take the phones off, How are you? And you see, I wore my shirt.
It's beautiful.
The party is tonight, right? Was
Oh.
that last night? That was last night, wasn't it?
It was last night. Did you get to see it?
No, I wore this today because that just shows you how out of it I am.
You want me to, if I don't see you on Thursday next time, give you a call, remind you?
Perhaps it might help me show up to more of them if that happens.
It was a good episode.
Which one? Who was
Albatross Party.
That's what I thought. I remember being told Albatross Party was going to be the thing.
Sounded good. It looked good. Megan did a good job editing and with the visual backgrounds, and I was on in the interview, and it was one you did sound on, and you It was obviously a superior project for
Did,
us.
I mean, did it make a difference? Did it?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was a good episode. I mean, it was just
Okay.
all around. It was a good episode.
All
Man
around.
was on. Like,
Everybody's
all
getting better all the time, aren't
around.
they?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it was pretty decent.